It was a weekend of record-breaking goals and trophies. We saw Juventus emerge the winter champions of the Serie A, and the Spanish Super Cup trophy went to Real Madrid. Welcome to the Nutmeg on Guardian TV. My name is Solomon Fowowe, and Dennis returns to us in the studios. It's great to have you on the show today.
Always a pleasure, Solomon. Thank you.
We saw Juventus emerge Serie A. Winter champions, not the end yet, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful sight to behold, especially when you look at it on the flip side of Inter Milan almost making it as winter champions but getting stopped by Atalanta. But that game is what we're going to be talking about, that game between Juventus and Roma. It was explosive. It was everything you really wanted, although there was a bit of Zaniolo getting injured and it affecting the game itself. But what do you think about that fixture?
It was a great fixture, and then it was a tough match for Juventus, seeing that they started 2020, on a flying start, winning their previous match by 4 goals to nil, Cristiano Ronaldo hat-trick. But in the match against Roma, it was indeed a real test, for the old ladies, So, but then what I think stood them out in the end of the match was the 2 early goals that they got in the match, and then second goal coming from Cristiano Ronaldo via a penalty. And like you did say, while Roma were getting momentum into the game, getting themselves back into the game, it was Zaniolo who was really pushing the team, got injured, and then all throughout the first half, for the remaining part of the first half, the team went flat. And then I think the pep talk from the manager during the halftime break really did a lot of good, because Roma returned in the second half, put a lot of pressure on Juventus, but were unable to score the 2 goals that they considered in the first half. Were only able to score 1 via a penalty spot. In all, I think it was a brilliant display from both sides.
Okay, Juventus with 48 points and Inter Milan just 2 points adrift of Juventus, and they're winter champions as Juventus. But if you were to make a prediction to who's going to match the champions of the Serie A, who is it going to be? Because you're looking at a revamped and refined Inter side with Antonio Conte, Romelu Lukaku, and a couple of other great players there, and also a Juventus side that is replete with talent and quality talent you're talking about. So both sides, knowing that they are the ones in the running for winning, that's the Serie A. Who do you think it's going to be winning at the end?
I think it's still going to be going down to Turin, Juventus, seeing that if you talk about personality, match for match, I think Inter Milan does not boast of the amount of talent and then the amount of players that Juventus has, because like you rightly said, it is a revamped Inter Milan side, and then Antonio Conte is still trying to rebuild the team, into his own sort of philosophy. But talk about Juventus, do not also forget that Juventus has won the last 8 Serie A titles. So it means that Inter Milan, a new team, so to speak, will be competing against a team that has this winning mentality fixed up there. So I think it will be a tough test for Inter Milan, and that's why I think it's still going to be going down to
moving away from the winter champions to the Spanish Super Cup, we saw Real Madrid win on penalties against Atletico Madrid, and you could say that the main person in that side, or the star of that particular fixture, as much as you don't want to say someone else, but I think it was Federico Valverde who actually got a red card in that particular fixture, and it was something that was celebrated, although it was a bit cynical. But it was what handed Real Madrid the lifeline in that particular fixture. So Real Madrid Super Cup champions, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think the match really lived up to expectation. You talk about the Madrid derby, you talk about the rivalry, you talk about the excitement whenever you see Atletico Madrid coming against Real Madrid. But then this was on a totally different context, because there was something at stake, because it was the Spanish Super Cup final, and then I think the match really lived up to expectation, seeing that both teams at different times cancelled each other's out, and then you also saw that, for the first time in a long while, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid playing a goalless draw in normal time for the match to go to penalties. And for me, your own man of the match was Valverde, but for me, the hero has to be Thibaut Courtois, saving 3 penalties and ensuring that Real Madrid go ahead to win the match 4 goals to 1 by penalties. I think he was absolutely phenomenal considering the amount of criticisms that have trailed his decision to leave Chelsea to the Bernabeu.
Big ups to Zidane. 9 finals and 9 victories in all of those finals. Zidane has been phenomenal. Now, and to the biggest story in the English Premier League, it was Sergio Aguero, who became the overseas player with the highest goals scored in the English Premier League. That's surpassing Thierry Henry, and it makes me think that probably Sergio Aguero has been very underrated, especially seeing what he has achieved. And also, he's broken another record that's becoming the player with the highest number of hat-tricks, surpassing that Alan Shearer and a couple of other players there too. So, do you think Sergio Aguero, we've not sung his praises enough?
Yeah, I certainly think so. You know, beyond you saying that Sergio Aguero had been underrated so far, especially for me from the British press, and then I also think that he has been under-celebrated, you know, in recent years, you know, seeing that Thierry Henry, although he did great things with Arsenal, especially the invincible season, but then you see the sort of accolades that still continues, you know, to flow after Thierry Henry, years after he had even left the English Premier League. But here is a Sergio Aguero who had done great stuff for himself in the Spanish La Liga while he was with Atletico Madrid, moved to England with a Manchester City side that was, you know, reasonably as then just trying to, you know, build up from the scratch. And then this milestone is just a great one. And then do not just forget that not only did he surpass Thierry Henry, he actually did that with 3 games lesser than Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry did that in 258 matches, while Sergio Aguero did his in just 255 matches. I think that's just phenomenal, and then I think he takes a place in the argument of the greatest Premier League players of all time.
Oh, really? So you want to say that you want to put, say, Thierry Henry and Sergio Aguero on the same pedestal?
For me, with what Sergio Aguero has achieved so far, he has surpassed whatever Thierry Henry did. Because if you are looking at the amount of goals he's done that, if you are looking at the amount of times that these players won the English Premier League, Sergio Aguero already outclassed Thierry Henry, because Thierry Henry only won 2 Premier League titles with Arsenal, while Sergio Aguero has done 4 already.
Well, interesting way to put that, but some people would argue that Thierry Henry has more assists. Thierry Henry, it was much more involved in the entire process of Arsenal, and also for the fact that he has won more golden boots.
Do not also forget that Thierry Henry joined Arsenal when Arsenal was actually relatively still playing well and then still winning trophies.
Not quite.
Yeah, not quite, but that's why I said relatively.
But anyways, it's great to see Sergio Aguero doing so good, and he's just 31. He still has like 2, 3, 4 years to still do really good with Manchester City. And just to think of it, that it was this same Sergio Aguero that at some point you'll think that Pep Guardiola was about casting him to the hip and sticking with Gabriel Jesus just a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, and then I think the sort of motivation that Sergio Aguero has going forward now is what a whole lot of what Pep Guardiola has done to put this motivation in Sergio Aguero is what a whole lot of coaches should be doing. I think they should be borrowing a leaf from that, you know, because I actually think that if he had not put Aguero, you know,
under pressure like that,
there are chances are that he might have felt too overconfident and then not really, you know, improved on his game. But making him understand that there is a certain Gabriel Jesus who is not doing badly on the records, you know, scoring goals and then creating goals as well. I think that put him under pressure to go ahead to do more.
No, thank you so much for talking to us on The Nutmeg today, Dennis.
Always a pleasure, Solomon.
Thank you so much for sticking with us on The Nutmeg on Guardian TV. If you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, you should absolutely do that already. Mind-blowing content from Guardian Nigeria for you. That's all we can take. Thank you so much once again. This has been The Nutmeg, and my name is Solomon Fowowe.